morning. Good morning. Welcome back to Coffee and Sports. This is the morning show. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. And to my right, I got the man that knows better. It's Mo Better. Good morning, Mo.
Hey, good morning, Gene. Good morning, chat.
Fired up today, brother. Fired up. NBA trade deadline in full effect. A lot of stuff happened. Let's talk about the biggies, though. The biggies have already knocked off the floor. We got James Harden traded for the 78th time. Guy can't stay in one spot for one time, and that's okay. It's James Harden. Do you think the Cleveland Cavaliers are closer to winning an NBA title, trading Darius Garland? I think it was Darius Garland. Isn't Jared Allen that got moved too?
No, they kept Allen. They moved DeAndre Hunter to the Kings.
For James Harden, I'd rather listen to you because you're a little bit more knowledgeable than I am. But correct me if I'm wrong when I say this, Mo. Do you not think, just maybe I'm tripping, that Donovan Mitchell and James Harden are just a terrible fit for each other? Like, when I look at that fit, I just see awful.
Look, I get that a lot of people say they're both ball dominant players. LeBron and Luka are ball dominant players. They make it work to a degree, even though I don't think the Lakers are title contenders. I look at it this way. Cleveland has been kind of a disappointment this season. Darius Garland, when he's healthy, he's been good, but I think the Darius Garland Mitchell backcourt kind of ran its course. Cleveland wants to win now. I don't think they're thinking about the future. I think they're thinking about right now. So they're taking a big swing. And look, between Garland and Harden, whether you love James Harden or not, he's a better basketball player than Darius Garland.
I agree he's a better basketball
player. That's the cut and dry of it. He's a better point guard than Darius Garland. Donovan Mitchell is not a point guard. He's a better point guard than Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell with James Harden will get the opportunity to play more off the ball. And if you're a fan of great passers who elevate their big men, James Harden will be Jared Allen and Evan Mobley's best friend. They will get more layups and dunks than they ever got with James Harden. So
you're a fan of it.
Well, I think the Cavs are going to win the title? I don't think they are, but are they better than they were yesterday? Yeah, they're better than they were yesterday because he's better. And when they traded Hunter, they said, well, you lost a 3-and-D defender, but they got back Keon Ellis from the Kings. And Keon Ellis can do everything Hunter can do, but he doesn't have the big price tag. So I don't think they're going to miss Hunter. The only question is, can Donovan Mitchell and James Harden, can they blend off of each other, or will they have to stagger their minutes? I do understand, because with James Harden comes it might look great in the regular season, and then they'll get to the postseason. They might win a first-round series, but when they get what happens in the second round? What if it goes into a game 6 or 7? Because obviously James Harden has a checkered playoff history, especially in game 7s. I look at it from this point of view. This is a different James Harden. This is a James Harden that you're not asking him to be the number 1 option. They're not even asking him to be the number 2 option. I think this is James Harden in a completely different role. I think he's the 3rd option to Mitchell and Mobley. So I don't think, again, I don't think they'll win it all, but I think it is an upgrade over what they had going before.
It's interesting, though, because he didn't do well as a 3rd option in Philadelphia. He became a 2nd option very quickly, which stunted the program, which stunted the development of Tyrese Maxey just a shade. Obviously, Maxey has become the superstar that he is now, but he became the 2nd option in Philadelphia. And I'll say this about James Harden. When the game is on the line and there's a situation that needs to get, like a pass that needs to be made or a shot that needs to get made, he is not the guy I want the ball in their hand. He is constantly playing from foul baiting, turning the ball over, plays slap out of defense. I don't think he's a great culture guy. Now, you might disagree with me and think that what he's going to bring to the Kings to the Cavs, I think you could be right. What he adds to Mobley and Allen, but I don't think he's a culture guy at all. I think he's a guy that can ruin a locker room. I think Donovan Mitchell might try to take a shot at the NBA Finals this year, but I don't foresee them two starting next year together.
I think that whatever Donovan Mitchell's future is going to be with the Cavs, I think it's tied directly to how deep a playoff run they go on this season. Now, all of this is with the assumption of they won't have any major injuries, right? Like, let's say they go into the postseason fully healthy. I think that's what it comes down to. I think it's a good move because I think what gets lost about James Harden, incredibly high basketball IQ, incredibly smart, maybe one of the more gifted offensive players in NBA history.
He is.
And so you can certainly bring up his playoff failings because they're there. That's part of his history. But that's the beauty of sports. You only have to get it right once to kind of erase away all the bad. So from a basketball fan standpoint, I like big swings and dramatic moves like this. A lot of people are not fan of the move because obviously James Harden is a full decade older than Darius Garland. My only problem with people that think that way is, yeah, Darius Garland is 10 years younger, but he's still not any better. And this might sound mean, but at no point in his career would Darius Garland ever be better than James Harden. And I'm not even talking about MVP James Harden. I'm talking about this James Harden. Darius Garland he's just not that good. And while the people that are Clipper fans are like, well, they got back a young point guard. Right. You got back Darius Garland, but you don't have any picks. And you're one of the oldest teams in the league. Is your future to build around Darius Garland? If that's your future, the Clippers are going to be bad for a long time. The fact that they moved off of James Harden, I get that. What I don't get is why they didn't try to make a move to get rid of Kawhi Leonard as well, because he's not part of their future either.
I love it. I love what you're saying. Couple more big trades we got to get into though. Let's move on. Next one, got to talk about it. Should we just say Brad Stevens is like the Howie Roseman of the NBA? Like, I'm not like trying to be like, he's just a guy that sees the future before other people do. And they signed Anthony Simons in the offseason and they moved him now for Vucevic to fill a need at center. The Boston Celtics, I believe they're in the 3rd seed. That's off the top of my head in the East, but let me just double check so I'm not spewing. Yeah, they're 3rd seed. They're tied for 2 with the Knicks. They're 32-18 without Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown is a all-star starter. He's been incredible this year. What do you think about the trade of trading Anthony Simons for Nikola Vucevic for the Boston Celtics?
Well, the Celtics have solid big men, but I think what they were missing was that element that they had with Kristaps Porzingis. So I thought bringing in Vucevic, who's actually a better player than Porzingis, because Vuce is a better passer. He can shoot from range like Porzingis, but he also has a post game that Porzingis never had. When I saw the move, that let me know that Brad Stevens and the Celtics, they're not worried about like whether Jason Tatum comes back or not. What they're saying is whether Jason Tatum comes back or not, they're trying to win a championship this year, which is weird because nobody even thought that they'd be in the position that they're in right now. I think the Vucevic move is a great pickup. And if you look at the East, because I think the East is wide open, even though Detroit is the front runner, you get into the postseason, it becomes about your depth and your system. I think Boston's system and their depth is what's gotten them to this point. Adding a player like Vucevic that can give you double-digit scoring and rebounding, and you can run your offense through, it just takes a little bit of pressure off of Jaylen Brown. It makes things easier for a guy like Peyton Pritchard. So I just love the move by Brad Stevens. And while a lot of people are talking about when they get Tatum back, I'm of the opinion that even without Tatum this year, because of the way the East is situated, I think the Celtics are going to be a tough out in the postseason.
So it was a lineup of Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, and if Jason Tatum does return with Vooch, is that like a lineup? Do you think that is going to breeze through the East? Do you think that's the best team in the East if Tatum does return? Let's say it's 75% of what his normal is.
Right, because let's say he does return. I don't think you're going to get the 27, 28 points per game Tatum, but
No.
let's say you get a Tatum that can give you 18, 5 and 5, and he's more in a support role to Brown. Yeah, I think that team has as good a chance as the Knicks or the Cavs to come out of the East. And I know I'm a huge Detroit fan. I am. And I thought they would move Jaden Ivey, which they did. But I thought they would move Jaden Ivey to bring in a scorer that could help Cade Cunningham right now, and they didn't do that. I think everything Detroit has done to this point has been really impressive. But when you get to the playoffs and teams lock in and it becomes about half-court execution and everybody's going to focus on Cade, who's that other guy that can create for others or get his own shot outside of Cade on that roster? They don't have anybody. And I love Jalen Duren, but Jalen Duren can't be your second best player.
The Jaden Ivey comment that you made, I looked at that trade and I'm just lost at it.
Yeah,
Jaden Ivey for Kevin Huerter? Like, is that really what we're doing?
Yeah, I didn't understand that at all. Because I can't remember his name. It's the guy that used to play for the Heat. Basically, he and Huerter have the same skill set. What's his name? I can't remember his name. But
Duncan Robinson?
Yes. You just brought in another Duncan Robinson. I don't understand that.
I think Huerter's got a little bit more of a mid-range game than Duncan Robinson. I think Duncan Robinson's just a 3 guy. I also think Huerter plays a little bit better defensively than Duncan Robinson does. But the point is, you're right. It's not like, are we just surrounding Cade with shooters? Is that what we're trying to do? Is that like the offense we're going to play? We're just going to run Cade drive down the middle and kick it, or and have Durant clean up the basket? Like, is that the offense that they want to run? I just don't.
Right. And if I'm one of the better teams in the East, I will live and die on us shutting down Cade Cunningham and you gambling that Duncan Robinson and Kevin Huerter are going to beat me. I'll take that. I'll take that bet.
I want to see them do more. And I guess moving Ivy, made sense. I wish they would have moved it for more. But when you have a Sor Thompson who can't shoot the basketball, you have
Right.
Tobias Harris, who's a below average shooter from distance, and then you have Cade Cunningham. I guess you can't really fit Jaden Ivey on the court with that group because he's not an above average shooter of the basketball either. But I just don't. I feel like you can got more playmaking for what used to be the number 3 overall pick, and I'm not understanding.
I think that's what's frustrating for me as a fan. Like, I'm not saying you had to go out and get a superstar, but you looked at your roster and you knew that your roster is devoid of another shot creator. I'm just talking about somebody that can handle the ball and take some pressure off of Cade, and they didn't address that. And I thought they would do more.
Another fun question to ask, and this is another just, I guess, puzzling trade. The Grizzlies traded Triple J, Jaren Jackson to the Jazz. Memphis will receive 3 first-round picks along with Walter Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, and George Niang. The Jazz also acquired Jock Landale, backup center, and guards John Concher and Vince Williams Jr. in the deal. I think that's a lot of value for Triple J, and I don't think it really moves the needle at all for Utah. Maybe you see it differently than I do. Do you think Triple J is a guy that commands prospects, 3 first-round draft? I mean, I guess Rudy Gobert got 4. What is your thought process on the Triple J move?
I think Utah has recalibrated, and what they're thinking is, when you get Walker Kessler back healthy, to go with Triple J and Laurie Marketing, you have a massive front line, and a diverse front line because obviously Triple J is he can lock down on defense, great help side defender. Then Marketing can get you with the scoring. I like what Utah's trying to do. They're trying to build a foundation and make it easier in the development of guys like Ace Bailey and some of the other guys they picked up. I like what they have with Keontae George in the backcourt. They have talent and they have a plan. Whether or not I agree with the value they give up for Triple J, I wouldn't have gave up that much for him, but I think that Danny Ainge thinks that he can be a foundational player. We'll see. I knew he was going to get traded. I'm just shocked that he got traded before Ja got traded. But I do understand this. His value, Triple J's value, is much higher than Ja's value. Like, you're not going to get back 3 number ones for John Morant. I don't even think you're going to get back 2 number ones for John Morant. I think you'll get back similar value that you got in the Trae Young trade.
Damian thinks Vooch sucks, and the Pistons weren't going to get anything for Ivy coming off an injury. I
agree about the injury, but he's it's not that Ivy doesn't have talent. His problem is he hasn't been able to stay healthy. And look, I'm not saying Vooch is a superstar, but neither was Porzingis. On that Celtics team, he will have a specific role. His ability to stretch the floor and pass, I think he's gonna fit them like a glove.
I think the one thing we forget about Vooch is how good of a rebounder he is compared to Porzingis.
Much better rebounder, right?
Porzingis can't rebound the ball; he gets pushed around in the lane. Where Vooch would be able to get you those second chance opportunities. He's a very, very good rebounder.
Right. And I understand Damian saying what he said about Vooch. You're a Bulls fan and Vooch is on the team and you guys weren't very good. But I think that Vooch on a really good team, you'll see him in a different light.
I don't disagree with you. Want to move forward to this. Draymond Green, now this is a dead indicator that I think that he's getting traded. I don't know if you heard this story or seen this story, Mo. I'm assuming you did. But Draymond Green was approached by Steve Kerr and the coaching staff about like the trade rumors and trade talks. And Steve Kerr then asked Draymond how his son was handling it. And Draymond spoke about on the podcast that there's a very good possibility we can get traded. If it ends, it was a great run. Do you think Draymond Green gets traded before this trade deadline tomorrow?
I think Golden State is going to do everything in their power to trade him before the trade deadline. The only question is, are they going to find any takers? But I definitely think they're going to try to move on from them. I think Golden State is at the point where they realize that dynasty run, that's gone. And if they want to, I guess, max out Steph Curry's last 3 or 4 years playing at a high level, they're going to have to do somewhat of a mini rebuild around him. And it starts by letting go of guys that are older and not what they were, which is Draymond Green. He's one of those guys. I think they brought in Al Horford, but I think they brought in Al Horford 2 years too late. They had Jimmy Buckets, but now he's injured, and they're trying to like get rid of his contract as well. I know you've heard the rumors that Golden State has made a substantial offer to get Giannis, but if you look at the offer they put out there, that's not a substantial offer. It's a great offer if you're Golden State and you get back Giannis, but if you're Milwaukee, Jonathan Kuminga, Pods, and I believe it was Jimmy Bucket's contract, that's it. I'm not doing that.
I mean, if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, I don't want current players. I want future assets. I want to lose. I want to trade everybody I can to get picks. I want to get in the lottery. I want to use the OKC rebuild.
Yeah.
That's what I want to use. And when you're Milwaukee and you're talking about trading Giannis, trading Giannis for Pods and Jimmy Butler and, Kuminga, yeah, they might win 42 games. What does that get you? That doesn't land you any superstar in the draft. That doesn't give you any cap relief because you're taking on Jimmy Butler's contract. What does that get you? When you look at the Milwaukee Bucks situation, Mo, I'm going to put the GM hat on you for a minute. If you were the GM in the Milwaukee Bucks and the ownership said, hey, Mo, we need to move Giannis. We're moving him. What would be your game plan in rebuilding the Bucks organization?
I mean, if I could get the package that I would want picks, and I would want a couple of young assets that could be part of my future. Like you said, bringing in Kuminga, who I think is a good player, but I don't think he's a foundational player, and Jimmy Butler, who's even he's injured, but even if he was healthy, he's 37. He's not part of your future. If I'm Milwaukee and the best offer I can get is what Golden State is offering, then I'm going to turn around and just sign Giannis to an extension and just ride it out. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to settle. If Jaren Jackson brought you back 3 number ones, like Memphis is set up with the moves they just made, they got salary cap relief and they have future assets that can help them with a full rebuild. And that's before they do anything with Ja Morant. So if I'm the GM of the Bucks, I've got to play chess the way the Grizzlies are playing chess. I've got a transcendent player who's still in his prime, and I'm ready to move him. I need to get back a move as good or better than the one that Utah made or the Grizzlies made with Utah. I need to get back those kind of assets, if not more, because Giannis is levels above Jaren Jackson Jr.
So when you look at the situation that's in Memphis now, I think it's awesome that they get back like a guy like Walter Clayton Jr. because they can actually start him at point guard and allow him to develop. I think Walter Clayton Jr. is a stud in the making. I really believe it. I watched him in college. The way just not every guy has that takeover gene where they can, take over a basketball game, hit awkward shots from different angles. He's got range for days. I'm not saying he's Steph Curry or Klay Thompson or anything like that, but I'm saying he can develop into an all-star point guard, and he was overlooked due to his size. I know another guy that got picked in the 20s in the NBA draft that was overlooked due to their size. His name is Jalen Brunson. I know another guy that got picked in the 20s that was overlooked to their size. His name is Tyrese Maxey. I'm not saying Walter Clayton Jr. will be those guys, but there's definitely a ceiling for him. And to get those first-round draft picks, that team's roster is awful. That's fine. You move on from Ja today or tomorrow, you get some more picks. They're going to lose a lot of basketball games. And that's good if you're Memphis. That puts you right in the top of the lottery.
Right.
It allows you to go out and get some star talents to build around. But you can develop a lot of these young players that are on Memphis's roster. Cam Spencer looks like a guy that plays at the LA Fitness. I mean, when I watch that guy play basketball, it just looks like he's got the T-shirt on under the jersey. He looks like a guy I played against last week in LA Fitness.
I'm laughing at you, but I 100% agree about Cam Spencer. He looks like somebody I hooped against.
It's like, I don't know, man. Gigi Jackson looks good. Just a young kid that's 21 years old, that second-round draft pick that they're developing. I think that Memphis has the right moves. I think they have the right people in the right places right now. Hey, we need to get rid of this core. They got rid of Bane in the offseason, picked up some picks for him. They got rid of Triple J. They picked up some picks for him. They're going to move on from Ja Morant today or tomorrow. They'll pick up some probably more picks for him. They're going to be loaded, and they're going to be able to do what a team like Oklahoma City did. Now, if you're looking at Giannis and the situation he's in, I look at the trade. The Portland Trailblazers are the team that you need in on this, right? The New York Knicks want to give Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns for Giannis, but they don't have assets to give Milwaukee. Milwaukee doesn't want Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns. It doesn't help them. But Portland does. Portland has picks. Portland has young talent. And if you create a three-way deal, and that's what I ultimately think happens, I think Portland gives a lot of picks. And I think they give some young talent over to Milwaukee. They get Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns to pair with their young core. Danny Avdija, and who, by the way, has played his ass off this year.
He's been amazing.
Right? Shaden Sharp, it probably end up getting moved in the deal, but if not, you got Donovan Clingan. Scoot hasn't played at all. Former number 2 pick. The guy's been a ghost. I know he's been injured, so we'll see what we can get from Scoot back. But I could see Scoot getting moved in that deal to Milwaukee.
I think Scoot does get moved. They've already got Scoot's replacement on the roster.
You're not wrong.
And don't forget, they've got 2 veteran point guards. Drew is he's out now, but he'll be back, and they'll have Damian Lillard signed up for next season. So I think it's interesting, but I think you're on point. I think Portland is the team that everybody should be looking at.
I can see a lineup with Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, Damian Lillard, Shaden Sharp.
Yeah.
Like, I could see a lineup with that and competing next year.
That's a good basketball team. You just named a really good, legitimate, contending basketball team. And you're right. Advia's not even nowhere near his peak. He's only going to get better. Shaden Sharp's only going to get better. Clingan, I love what he does. Physical, gets on the boards. You add a Karl Anthony Towns and Bridges to that. That's a legitimate playoff contender with young assets still developing.
Completely agree. And not to mention, behind Drew Holiday and Damian Lillard, you can develop a Caleb Love. You're talking about a 5-year college player that knows how to play the game of basketball. Like, he played in North Carolina, he played in Arizona. The guy knows how to play basketball. He's not a superstar by any means, but he can definitely run your second team offense.
Right. Agreed.
A lot of NBA trade talk.
So it's interesting that Memphis is making the moves that I think they should make. What's disappointing is a franchise like the Pelicans who aren't making any moves. Like, the Pelicans are literally in the same boat as the Grizzlies, and they're not making any moves. And they made an announcement. They went out and told everybody, we're not moving anybody in our core. Now, I'm looking at their record. I'm looking at the fact that they're a small market team, and they're in the red, and they're not moving anybody. Make that make sense.
They have to move someone for Jeremiah Fears to start. Like, you can't keep putting him behind Trey Murphy and Herb Jones. I'm not saying Trey Murphy and Herb Jones aren't better players than Jeremiah Fears right now, because they are. They're better players than Jeremiah Fears right now. But you don't draft the kid with the 7th overall pick, start him, and then put him back on the bench for Herb Jones. And, like, it just – I don't know, man. It's one of those things where I want to see them develop their young talent. You got Derek Queen. You have Jeremiah Fears. Move on from these guys. I'll tell you something. Here's another prediction. Trey Murphy is going to get moved to a team, and that team is going to be a contending team. And I think Trey Murphy is the piece that could put a team over the top, the way he shoots the 3 ball.
We're on the same page. A lot of people look at Herb Jones, who, by the way, is a really good 3-and-D guy. But Trey Murphy is a better version of Herb Jones. He's a better version of Herb Jones.
And Herb Jones should be running the point for your team. He shouldn't be your starting point guard. He needs to be a 2, and he needs to be shooting the lights out, drive and kick. Let that guy shoot. I think he's shooting like 44% from 3. Right. Put him in the 3-point contest. I don't think he beats Knipple, but he'll be up there.
I love Con Knipple. Yeah, look, that's my frustration. You have Derek Queen, you have Fears, you have your cornerstone for your next run. You're being stubborn because you want to hold on to Zion. You still think Zion Williamson is your transcendent player that's going to lead you somewhere. I would argue that now is the best time to sell on Zion Williamson.
Yeah, I mean, now would be the best time to sell him. He stinks, bro. I'm sorry. When I watched him play the other day versus Charlotte. I watched him play the other day versus Denver. Like the last couple weeks, I've watched Zion Williamson play like 4 or 5 times. He stinks, bro. He's not the best player on that team. He just demands the ball, drives, flails his arms, tries to get free throws, and then goes 1 of 2 from the line. It's infuriating watching them play basketball.
I watched them play, and you probably already noticed Derek Queen has the kind of footwork that veterans don't have.
Yep. 13 and 39, and they're just still forcing the ball to Zion. So he can
and they're not trading anybody. But you're right. You're gonna have to. You can say you're not trading anybody, but the reality is because of the salary cap and what your record is and being a small market, you're gonna have to move either Trey Murphy and Herb Jones or both of them. I think you have to move both of them.
They also have the worst contract in the NBA that doesn't even get playing time for them.
Who's that? Jordan Poole?
The pool party.
Yeah. And who, by the way, whatever you think of Jordan Poole, I never thought he was a star, but he had a role in the league where he excelled at. He was a tremendous 6-man. So I still think he has value because he's still young. You could send him somewhere and he could take up that role again and be valuable to another team.
All right. Anything else that you're predicting or projecting for today? I'll ask you a couple fun questions. Within the next 36 hours, does Giannis get moved?
My gut instinct is no. Which I think is a mistake.
I don't think he plays anymore this year if he doesn't get moved.
Yeah.
I think they just shut him down.
Which is wise on their part because you know he's not part of your future anymore. So you shut him down so you can revisit some of those packages in the offseason. So I agree with you.
Damian's, that's a pretty good comp. The Pelicans or the Cleveland Browns.
I don't disagree with that at all.
Good comp, sir. Listen, you said a lot of wild statements in the chat, and I love you. That was a good one, bro. Keep bringing those. That was fire. Another statement. What is the you said no. What is the biggest player that gets moved in the next 36 hours? Is it Ja? Is it Zion? Did they finally pull the trigger there?
No, they're not that smart. I think it's Ja.
Okay. Does Draymond get moved?
He should, but the problem with the Warriors is they overvalue their players. Like Kuminga would have been gone a long time ago, but they're asking for a haul, and everybody in the league is like, you act like we don't know who he is. We're not giving you a haul for Kuminga. They're probably trying to ask for something crazy for Draymond. And I'm like, he's 36 years old. What are you asking? You should be grateful just to get the cap space.
I need you in the room being like, I have mediators, but they're like, yeah, value's not there. Like, I don't know about that. Like, I need you to mediate some of these trades. Selfishly, I'm going to ask you a question. Do the 76ers make a move today or tomorrow?
I don't think so. It's weird to say this, but when they're fully healthy, I'm talking about nobody's out, and they're fully healthy, I think the Sixers are the dark horse team in the East. I watched Joel Embiid. I know you watch him. Yeah. Yes, some of the athleticism is gone, but the footwork and the skill set and the shooting still there, still unguardable. And Maxey has elevated himself to a superstar status. I like the development of Edgecombe. I love Quentin Grimes coming off the bench. Like, you guys have all kind of wings that can create their own shot. And I don't even think the Sixers are fully healthy. The kid Barlow, I'm impressed with him. Like, they have nothing but talent. I don't think they need to make a move. I just think they need to get healthy.
It's funny because I was completely out on Joel Embiid. You knew this. You knew I was completely out on Joel Embiid. And then I watched him play in the month of January, and he looks like the old Joel. He looks like he's lost weight. He looks like he's in shape. He looks like he's got that dominance back to him. He looks healthy. And I didn't think I'd ever see that. He can't jump anymore, which is a problem. Like, he doesn't even do jump balls. Did you notice that? Like, they have Barlow doing their jumps now. Like, they don't even have their 7-footer doing jumps. It's kind of wild. But he looks better. And when I look at that roster as a whole, I fall in love with the young talent, right? I love the Tyrese Maxeys, the VJ Edgecombs, Jarrett McCain, even off the bench. He's looked great in his, coming back from injury.
Right.
I really like Quentin Grimes. He's been a great fit for us. Kelly Oubre being like a very glue guy, great 3-and-D guy, constantly taking on the other team's best scorer along with VJ. I think that Paul George and by the way, there's a rumor about this, and I want to hear your point. I'd love to hear your take on this, but there's a rumor going around in Philadelphia, and I don't know how true it is. I really don't know how crazy this could be, but do you know that Paul George getting popped for steroids or performance enhancing drugs or whatever he got caught for? I'm not going to play into this. Oh, mental health. He accidentally took something. I'm not doing that. But do you know him doing that actually slided the Philadelphia 76ers below the luxury tax that they were going to move Andre Drummond because they're not going to move into the luxury tax. So there's actually rumors in Philadelphia that drug test might not be, we want Paul George healthy for the playoffs. And like, maybe I'm just reaching, but it made a lot of things make sense money-wise.
Look, if that's the case, then they're thinking way outside the box. Like, that's next level strategic thinking. I don't. The thing about the Paul George situation is when you first hear it, the first thing I thought of, if I had a dime for every athlete that said I mistakenly took medicine, and then you go like, well, it's about my mental health, and I'm like, right, but if it's about your mental health, it's all the more important that you know what you're taking because it's about your mental health. You don't just blindly take pills, right? Like, and you know how the NBA is, so you'd be like, well, what's on the ban list? I don't know how you don't know that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna read too much into it. And look, I'll take Paul George at his word. He doesn't really. It's not like he has a reputation of being somebody that's shiesty. Maybe he did just fumble the ball on that one, but it did benefit the Sixers, like you said, in the long run.
I just thought it was really interesting. When you look at that, like, and I'll read you the story, and it says, nevertheless, if hold on, it says, nevertheless, if Andre Drummond's recent usage is anything to go by, performance levels means little to the 76ers hierarchy. Now that Paul George is serving a 25-game suspension and has alleviated a percentage of the financial restraints the 76ers are under, the franchise will not be forced to trade as many assets. With Kelly Oubre offering many of the same traits as George, the writing is on the wall. The 32-year-old veteran is most likely casualty in the days ahead. So I don't think they trade Paul George like that report is suggesting. But I thought it was very interesting that his suspension alleviated them of salary cap issues. Like, him getting suspended is turned into a good thing. You don't have to move on from Andre Drummond. I think Drummond and Bona are your perfect 2 and 3 centers for the nights Joel Embiid can't play. Drummond brings you that strength, that power, that low post moves. He's a great rebounder, and Adem Bona is a block shot waiting to happen. Now, he can't hold a basketball. I feel like he plays every game with Vaseline on his hands. But I can't understand how that guy cannot hold a basketball. He's got to be the least coordinated human being I've ever seen in my entire life. If you watched a lot of Adem Bona,
I have. I thought he had hands like Mutombo because Mutombo used to have terrible hands.
it's so bad. Everything just bounces off. It's like you have bricks for hands. It's crazy.
You know what? I mean, just for the controversy of it, it almost is like you're implying that the Sixers narked on Paul George. I'm not saying that's what happened, but
that's what I'm implying. I am implying.
Right. I got you. Like I said, if they did, that's so outside the box. That's crazy.
Could you imagine if the team's medical staff was like, "Here, Paul, take these. They're great for you."
Right. And then they make a phone call, right?
Yep, got it. Paul George is playing pretty good basketball. You might want to check him. He was playing good for a little bit too.
He did look good down for a stretch. And he had just come off like his best scoring night when he got popped.
Happens all the time in the NBA. You have a great game. Random drug test. All right. Gonna move for the NBA. Want to talk a little NFL. We got the Super Bowl coming up. The joke of a Pro Bowl happened yesterday. On Tuesday night, we had a Pro Bowl. I think the final score was 66-52. Great football game. If you paid attention, I'm kidding. It was awful. The NFC won 66-52. They won off of a couple drop passes by Jamar Chase that led to interceptions. One from Shedeur, one from Joe Burrow, who for whatever reason was at the Pro Bowl. I don't understand how that works. He didn't play half the season. Shedeur started 6 games. The NFL needs to get rid of the Pro Bowl, right?
They need to get rid of the whole Pro Bowl weekend because what's happening now is it's devaluing what it means to make the Pro Bowl.
Correct.
Like how does Joe Flacco and Shedeur Sanders they actually have Pro Bowl on their resume now? Like Shedeur Sanders should be nowhere. Look, it's no shade. He may end up and develop into a good quarterback. But for him to be at the Pro Bowl, that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing.
Listen, you don't think guys with 16 QBR should be at the Pro Bowl?
No, I do not.
All right. Mo, it's time. It's time for you to give your Super Bowl prediction. It is Wednesday. I've given mine. I'm going to give mine fully official with the score tonight, but I still will give you my victor. I'm ready. The Patriots are 4.5-point dogs. The Seattle Seahawks are the favorite. Sam Darnold, Drake May, Kenneth Walker, Ramondre Stevenson. Who you got in this one?
I might be on the other fence in this, but guess what? I'm going Patriots. And I'm going to go 27-17. And like I said on yesterday's show, I think Sam Darnold coughs the ball up at least 2 or 3 times.
I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to listen to yesterday's show. I guess you gave your prediction already. I am also on the same page as you are. I have the Patriots winning this one in a low-scoring game. I think that the game goes under the total. I think it's going to be 23-17 New England. I think it'll be a good football game. I think defense will be the determining factor. Both teams' defenses are very, very good. Drake May makes just a few more plays than Sam Darnold, and that's kind of where I'm living. I'm fine with whoever wins, but I think I'll be my pick will be the Patriots, so I'll be pulling for them. But it'll be a fun time.
I love the way you said that. Right, I'm picking the Patriots to win, but if the Seahawks should win, I'm not going to be depressed. I don't really have a dog in the fight. And the question was asked, who would it matter more to, Darnold or May if they won the Super Bowl? And I said Sam Darnold. It's got to be Sam Darnold. When you consider where he came from the Jet, like he's been moved around like a journeyman would be moved around, and to be where he's at, mind you, after having a career year last year with the Vikings, and they bailed on him for JJ McCarthy. It matters. Look, winning the Super Bowl matters matters to everybody, but I think between the two quarterbacks, I would say is Darnold, because I think Drake May, the sky's the limit for Drake May. This is year 2.
If you're a Vikings fan, are you pulling for Sam Darnold, who led your team to 14 wins last year? Or are you hoping that they lose because that kind of validates them moving on from him? I don't know. Like, if you're a Vikings fan, where is your rooting interest in this game?
If I'm a Vikings fan, I need Sam Darnold to throw like 6 picks.
Okay, that makes sense. I don't know, man. Like, I can imagine a guy coming in. I'll give you an example, right? I've always rooted for like a Gardner Minshew, because when he came into Philadelphia, like, he worked his ass off. He was good backup quarterback, great guy. I've always rooted for him. Like, I always rooted for Nick Foles. Nick Foles won us a Super Bowl, but before that, I rooted for him when he went to other places. Great guy. Wasn't his decision to move on from the organization. The organization made the decision to move on from Sam Darnold. I don't think Vikings fans should hold it against him. If I were them, I would treat it like Detroit fans treated Matthew Stafford in LA. I would be rooting for my guy to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think that's fair. If anything, if you're Vikings fans, you're looking at your front office going, "What are you doing? What did you just do?"
I said in the pre-draft process, I said why he was in college. I'm not a JJ McCarthy guy. I never been. I never will be. I don't think he's got it. I don't think he is someone that will ever develop into more than a moderate starting quarterback. I think he can eventually develop into like a starter. I don't think he's a starter now. I don't think he's as bad as Anthony Richardson was when Richardson was coming out, but I just didn't see it. I think the Minnesota Vikings made a huge mistake drafting JJ, and they doubled down on that mistake by letting Sam walk out the door. Justin Jefferson basically said that recently, that we would be in a better spot if we still had Sam Darnold. And that's with JJ McCarthy on the roster.
I think Justin Jefferson has the bruises on his body to prove that he's right, because with JJ McCarthy as his quarterback, catching those 7-yard slants and getting them medicine balls and getting lit up, I'd say the same thing too.
Couple retread moves at offensive coordinator that I want to ask you your opinion. The Jets have named Frank Reich as their offensive coordinator for Aaron Glenn. Frank Reich, if you don't remember, he was the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles that won the 2017-2018 Super Bowl. He was credited a lot of that Super Bowl success for the way the offense ran in Philadelphia. What do you think about the hire of Frank Reich as offensive coordinator for the Jets?
I think it's an upgrade from what they had. So,
Yeah.
I know that Frank Reich, he struggled as a head coach, but I think it's a good move for the Jets. Aaron Glenn is more of a defensive guy. He knows that with Frank Reich running the show that he can focus on getting that defense right. So to me, I think it's a plus move.
I agree with you. I think it's a good move for the Jets. I just don't think Aaron Glenn is the guy after watching the first year, but we'll see. I hope I'm proven wrong. I was big on Aaron Glenn going into the season, and I wasn't happy with what I seen. Going next is the Giants hire a retread. Hire Matt Nagy as Harbaugh's offensive coordinator. What do you think of Matt Nagy running the show in New York for Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterbo, and Malik Neighbors?
He's the retread. The thing about Nagy is I'm trying to figure out what young quarterback developed really well under him.
None. Patrick Mahomes is his answer.
That's my point.
I don't think none. He had Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell never developed under him. He had 1 year of Justin Fields before he left, and eventually Matt Eberflus took over. None. The answer would be none.
So I don't like the hire, because generally when it comes to coordinators, especially offense coordinators, you're judged on how you develop players, and particularly quarterbacks. He doesn't have a good track record. So I'm like, why would I make him the guy to develop Jackson Dart under? I don't understand that.
I mean, I think that the Chiefs couldn't wait to get rid of him, if I'm being completely honest with you. He made Patrick Mahomes look bad, which is really tough to do. I love that he's in our division. I love it. Give me Matt Nagy and John Harbaugh coaching the Giants for the next 10 years. I'm thrilled with that. Spell of mediocrity. I'll spell it Nagy.
That's the fact. I got you. I just didn't like that move. And it's interesting, right? Because the Chiefs said, you know what? They're bringing back an old friend, but I kind of like that they're bringing back Eric Bieniemy.
Eric Bieniemy as their OC makes a lot of sense. I mean, you look at what he's done for Chicago as their running backs coach. I got to give all the credit in the world. If you think DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai didn't have great seasons this year, I don't know what planet you're living on.
Right.
They both had great years this year, and I give all the credit in the world to Eric Bieniemy. Every place he's went, he's gotten over performances from running backs that are not really great backs. And you can go back to Kansas City, and when Isaiah Pacheco first came in the league, he was regarded way stronger. Even when he went to Washington, Antonio Gibson, people thought he was a good running back. And he let Eric Bieniemy leaves, and he's now like a third string running back for the Patriots. So I'll call it what it is. I think that Bieniemy going back to Kansas City is going to allow that running back room to develop, and you'll be able to use play action again. Nobody feared the Chiefs' run game this year at all. I think Bieniemy going there will put fear in people's hearts with running the football.
Agreed.
Last two things I want to go over NFL-wise. Matt Ryan will not commit to Michael Penix Jr. as the team's starting quarterback. What the hell's going on in Atlanta? You draft the kid with the 8th overall pick. This is another thing I just didn't understand when it happened, and a couple people told me I was stupid. Okay. 9 games in or 10 games into Kirk Cousins' first season with the Falcons, they moved to Michael Penix. He goes 2-3, and then that's it. And then last year he was not great, and then he gets hurt, tears his ACL, and the Falcons' offense actually looked better when Kirk Cousins came back in.
Right.
But he hasn't had 17 games yet, and you drafted him with the 8th overall pick, and you're not committing to him as your starter. Why the hell did we draft him then?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I remember on draft night when you were shaking your head because obviously they had just given Cousins that deal, right?
4 years, $180 million.
Right. So it didn't make sense, but you did draft him. So to turn around after hiring Matt Ryan and saying, I don't know if we want to keep this dude. He hasn't played. Like we always talk about sample sizes. I don't know if Penix will ever be a star quarterback, but he could develop into a capable quarterback, and they're already sounding like they're giving up on him. And I don't understand that because you invested that pick in him. It's your job to turn over every rock to make sure you give him every opportunity to live up where you drafted him, right? Before you give up on him. I don't understand that.
I'm lost. And I felt like that was one of those things that was really easy to just say, yeah, Michael's our starter. We drafted him. We have all the confidence in the world. And I'm not a fan of Matt Ryan being the president of football operations for the Atlanta Falcons, but that's not for here nor there. I think that's I think Atlanta is lost right now.
That's not the worst soundbite I've heard, by the way.
No.
I mean, what Todd Monken did in his press conference, that might be the worst soundbite I've heard.
I didn't see that.
They were talking about so obviously Cleveland interviewed a lot of guys for the job, including their defensive coordinator. I can't remember his name right now. You do, you remember everything. Who's the Browns defensive coordinator?
Jim Schwartz.
And
You're talking about I didn't take this job because of Jim Schwartz?
Right. That yo, come on, man. You know better than anybody. You're the NFL genius. That wasn't a pipe bomb? Come on. He
I,
he was taking shots, like openly taking shots.
I didn't take this job because of Jim Schwartz.
He was like, I don't. What did he say? When I'm chipping Myles Garrett, I don't like he named like all the defensive players and said like I took this job because of them, not because of Jim. Like he was banging on Jim Schwartz, and I'm like, is he trying to get the man to resign?
I mean, maybe. I think the Browns told him during the interview process that if Jim Schwartz wants to be back, he'll be our defensive coordinator. And maybe those comments are trying to get Jim Schwartz to resign so he can hire his own defensive coordinator. That's the first thing I thought of when I read those. I just read them right now as you were talking. I didn't see his introductory press conference. He said it was shitty to play against Schwartz outstanding defenses, but I didn't take the job because of Jim Schwartz. I took it because of the players. Yeah, that's crazy.
If you like when you read it, it comes one way, but if you had heard it, the tone, it feels like basically he's saying, I didn't hire Jim Schwartz. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you just said. I think what he's saying without saying it is, I want to get my own guy in here.
Love it. LeBron James says he expects to finish the year with the Lakers. Newsflash, he's finishing the season with the Lakers. I don't understand. There's no way he's a no trade clause. They're not moving him. I don't understand why that's even that's like me being like, oh yeah, I'm staying here. Still gonna be with Wire Network.
Right.
Fucking Anthony. Like
right. LeBron not going anywhere is not breaking news at all. He wasn't going anywhere.
I love the way LeBron headlines hit, but there's 4 LeBron headlines on the ESPN front page.
Really?
LeBron expects to finish the year with the Lakers. Bryce James, son of LeBron, to redshirt Arizona. Curry, LeBron, and KD to team up at All-Star game. Like, what are we doing?
I give him credit. He keeps himself relevant.
That's all we got today. Any final thoughts, Mo?
Just excited to see if there are going to be any more big moves in the NBA before the trade deadline. Other than that, waiting for the Super Bowl.
I'm ready, man. I'm ready. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning to to Coffee and Sports, powered by Wire to Wire Network. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. Mo, close us out.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you.
Take care, y'all. See y'all tonight, 7 p.m. for Wire to Wire Sports Podcast.